According to human rights groups, China is engaged in the sterilization of Uyghur women, forced labor, and other human rights abuses, which China's government denies.
We already know about the forced labour camps, and yesterday we heard utterly heartbreaking testimonies from Uyghur women who have been systematically raped, sexually abused and tortured. This follows last summer's harrowing accounts from Uyghur women who were victims of forced sterilisation and forced IUD insertion. The Chinese government's own statistics show that birth rates in Xinjiang fell by a third in 1718, further evidence that what is happening may meet the international legal definition of genocide, something the new US administration has already acknowledged. Last month, the Foreign Secretary rightly condemned the events in Xinjiang as barbarism we had hoped lost to another era. So surely the time for tangible action has now come. First, where on earth are the Magnitsky sanctions that we on these benches and members from across this House have been calling for since last June? The Foreign Secretary said the body of evidence in Xinjiang is large, diverse and growing, and we know the names of the senior Chinese officials who are responsible for these atrocities. The US sanctioned them last summer. Who in government is holding this up? Second, 20% of the world's cotton comes from Xinjiang. We welcome the steps the government has taken to help UK business cease being complicit in forced labour, but they did not go far enough.
Joining us is Brian E. Muhammad with the Final Call News. Greetings, sir.
Greetings, Mr. Rosalind. And first, before we begin, let me say to all the Muslims who are out there fasting, Ramadan Mubarak, blessed Ramadan to everybody. I'm glad to be back with you.
Thank you. Your article in the Final Call News is entitled Justice for Uyghur Demands Changes in China. Why is China cracking down on Uyghur Muslims and other minority ethnic groups in its northwest Xinjiang province?
Well, this has been a long time issue between the groups of people in that area and the Chinese government. It's an area that is considered East Turkestan by some who dispute the area that, and China, of course, is saying that this area belongs to them, and that's where they get the name Xinjiang from. And the problem, according to the Chinese government, the officials say that the actual problem with the Uyghurs is that the Uyghurs are a group of radicalized Muslims, as far as what China is saying, because the Uyghurs, which is the largest ethnic group in that area, are in a battle and has been in a battle really since around 1949 and beyond, but truly since 1949, in a battle for self-determination, because they are not Chinese people. They have their own language, they have their own culture, and they want to be independent of China. And so they have been in this all-out battle over the years for self-determination. And the Chinese government is saying that because of that battle or that struggle, they have become radicalized and have been influenced by so-called terrorists from that area. And so you will hear the Chinese government say, well, our fight with the Uyghurs is an anti-terrorism fight, is a fight, to put down a potential insurgency of a group of people who want to destabilize or unstabilize China in order for them to realize their own independence. So this is kind of the root of the problem.
Now, we just heard in the clip that a list of some of the human rights abuses. What human rights abuses is China being accused of that we didn't hear about?
Well, the main one that a lot of the human rights organizations and groups are raising is this accusation of being a forced labor, that they're saying again that China is imposing forced labor, that China have established what will be synonymous by, again, These are what critics and human rights organizations are saying will be compared to concentration camps, you know, and they are being culturally reindoctrinated because, again, the Uyghurs have a quest for self-determination. China is saying that they have, yes, set up uh, uh, not redoctrination, but retraining uh, situations, because they're saying that they want to um, uh, uh, deprogram, in so many words, the Uyghur people who were indoctrinated in terrorism, if you listen to the Chinese authorities. So they're saying that it's not re-indoctrination, but it's retraining to acclimate them into Chinese society so that they won't have a need to use terrorism and terrorism tactics in their quest for self-determination. And of course, you know, human rights organizations and voices around the world are saying, no, that's bogus. You are re-indoctrinating them in order to remove their culture from them, similar to what we went through here. You know, when they took away our names, our language, our culture, in order to make us the so-called American Negroes that we became in the 400 years that we were here. But so it's the dispute depending on who you listen to.
Okay. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke about the persecution of the Uyghurs and other Muslims on the very first day of Ramadan. The minister said, "Why should Muslims suffer in China and we not go to China and speak on their behalf? What action should we be taking to aid and lend support to the Uyghurs?"
Well, what the minister said, you know, to go there and one, to find out what's going on. You know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I know his detractors and his enemies do not lift this reality of Minister Farrakhan, that he has been one of the best humanitarians and peacemakers in the world. When the Sudan was going through their problem, he went there. He went and talked to the different sides. He's a principled man. So in other words, he don't just take the side and say, well, I'm with the Chinese or I'm with the Uyghurs. We find out what is actually going on and we fight against oppression. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that he was really talking to the Muslim world when he made those comments. You know, that we are a world. We're, you know, China is a country. Myanmar, which is another place in that region that is having problems, and the Muslims there are being persecuted, right? But he's saying that is a country, while we as Muslims, we are a world. So why do not those at the base of our world in Mecca send people there and negotiate and study what is going on and lift your voices for the Muslims who are suffering in these situations? So the minister was saying, this is what we have to do. We have to be in a position to go there, but again, not taking sides, but go there for the sake of justice, because it is injustice and it is aggression that Allah hates. You know, so when we have a situation where people are fighting like that, you find out who is the aggressor. And again, you're not taking sides. What you're on the side of is justice and putting down aggression.
The U.S. State Department annual country reports on human rights practices for 2020, called China's Treatment of the Uyghurs, Genocide and Crimes Against Humanity. The U.S. Congress has introduced a bipartisan resolution to refer the Uyghur matter to the United Nations. Is the Biden administration likely to refer the resolution to the UN?
You know, Sister Rosalind, that remains to be seen. It remains to be seen because there is a hypocrisy that goes on where China is concerned, not necessarily on the part of China. China has a role in it, but on the part of the United States, and even when we talk about the Muslim world. The reason why the Muslim world is slow to act on these issues that affect Muslims in the world, like in China, is because they have an economic interest in play. China is the second world economy on the planet, second only to the United States. So China has its tentacles economically in every region of the world, Africa, the Middle East. Right. And even though the United States talks this game about China this and China that, they only step but so lightly where China is concerned because they still got to do business. So they're not quick, like the Secretary of State was asked about, well why don't we boycott next year's Winter Olympics that's in Beijing in 2022? He said, well, that's not really on the table. We're not trying to do that. We want to have talks first. And he said out of his mouth, we still got to have to do business with them. So it's economics. It's a lot of factors involved. So whether the Biden administration will listen to its own Congress people and others who are saying you must be the voice to take this to the UN, and even if they take it to the UN, again, China does business with many of the member nations. So China, like America, is in a position where, who gonna step to me? Really, right. Step to me.
Step to me. Thank you, Brother Brian, for joining us and adding your insight to this very important discussion about human rights and its violations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's pause for announcements from our sponsors. Delphine Sellers, Executive Director of Urban Community Agronomics, UCAN, will be on later to talk about the Catawba Trail Farm and how it serves the community. We will be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with NNVnews.com.